Old Mage Guy is now live, streaming politics, morning news with OMG.
Okay. I'm sick. Just depends up before we get too far into this.
Sunday, February 9, 2025. Welcome to the Weekend Show, where we make the time to consider the news of the week. You can support my work at independent journalism, patreon.com/5minute news. Our guest today represents California's 17th Congressional District, located in the heart of Silicon Valley. Congressman Brokaw, welcome to the Weekend Show.
Thank you. I'm a fan, and I appreciate you having me on. Thank you for what you and your listeners are doing to stand up for democracy.
Well, that's really the main issue at the moment, is that there is a general fear that democracy has been undermined in the US to such an extent
lovely.
that lunatics have taken the keys to the asylum. And I know that you sit on the Oversight and Accountability Committee, and so you're kind of best placed to talk to us about this. Maybe public enemy number one at the moment seems to be Elon Musk, who nobody voted for, and yet seems to be running the US government, as well as seeking to fire tens of thousands, if not millions, of staff. So maybe we could start with me just asking you, how do you feel about the status quo?
I got it cheaper from CD Keys.
I got it cheaper from CBD. It's completely unacceptable. It's a constitutional crisis, and that's why there was a bombshell exchange between Elon and me yesterday. Folks should view it. He unfortunately called me a dick. I've known Elon for 15 years. I initially said that Elon, I'm open to working with Doge if there are cuts of wasteful spending, and I acted in good faith when the president put him in that role. But he's violating the Constitution. Stop paying it unilaterally. He has to come to Congress. He's worked in partnership with Congress. And I called on him to testify in front of the Oversight Committee. I said he shouldn't be subpoenaed to do that, and he didn't like that, and so we went back and forth yesterday.
The problem, though, is that when you request a subpoena in a kind of normal government, then people would have to heed that request. But we're dealing with an abnormal government situation where even judges' rulings, there is a good chance that Donald Trump and Elon Musk will just simply ignore those. They don't seem to respect the institutions or those who seek to kind of maintain order in this country right now.
Well, you're right. The Republicans refused to vote to get that subpoena, but we still have leverage as Democrats, and I've said we need to have a plan. People say, but what is the plan? What is the plan? We need to communicate. We do know what we're doing. We have a plan. Here are the three things every Democrat should do. First, don't give them any votes. No votes on the debt ceiling. No votes on funding government. No votes on the appointment until they make a commitment that they will spend every penny that Congress authorizes and appropriates. Second, we've got to be out there talking about the work federal civil servants are doing and that government is good. Since 1980, we've been hearing government is bad, government is bad, government is bad. That's been the mantra in the United States. So when people come and say we want to cut federal service folks who are helping us keep our clean air, keep our water safe, keep our airplanes safe, the extraordinary work that they're doing, we have to defend them. And third, we need to be everywhere, show up everywhere. On shows like yours, on podcasts, on conservative podcasts, with people who are being affected by these cuts. That is the plan of action. Democrats need to lead. There's a void of leadership. And I'm hoping that we can get us in high gear to take on this fight.
In of this leadership vacuum on the Democrat side, who is in charge?
Well, I think it's got to be Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem is the minority leader. He is the one who's going to be Speaker of the House. I think he's going to take the House back. He has the support of a lot of younger members. And I'd like to see him doing a press conference every day, giving us our marching orders and giving people confidence that we have power in the Congress. We're not victims. We're not spectators. The president needs us to be able to raise the debt ceiling to fund the government. We know he folded to Trudeau and President Sheinbaum when the markets drop. He's going to fold if we stay together on the debt ceiling vote. And we need to get the concessions that he will make sure that he funds government for what Congress appropriates. And Elon's numbers are dropping. He's at 37% approval. So we have power, and we shouldn't play the victim hands. People want to see us fight.
I completely agree with you, and it's great to hear you say it. But the issue, I guess, I'm just trying to speak on behalf of the people who I know are watching and are frustrated because nobody voted for Elon Musk, we know that. But in terms of leadership, people voted for Kamala Harris in huge numbers. Trump's mandate was only 1.5% above the success that Kamala Harris had. Would it be more helpful to maybe have the former vice president step up, to have more voices? I hear you on that, James. Chuck Schumer is doing his old school moves, and with a lot of criticism of the "we will win" move that the charge that he did the other day, simply because it just seems so antiquated compared to the kind of describe it kind of expert of the government that Elon Musk is trying to bring.
Well, I think we need to do what I did, which is to take on a fight with Elon Musk on X, which is to take on a fight on his platforms and not feel afraid of standing up or going to the House floor. And I know we have a similar situation today when FDR called out the economic royalists and said there's economic tyranny. The economic elites are taking over government. We need to recognize that that's what's going on today. The leaders trying to take over government and stand firm. So I would recommend Senator Schumer give speeches from the Senate floor. It's probably a more comfortable framework. Look, the vice president lost badly in terms of all the 7 states, and I think we have to move on as a party. The status quo failed. We were not change agents. I don't think that's the future. I think what we need is a new generation of people stepping up and being strong. People like Greg Casar, people like Dalia Ramirez, Joe Goose in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, AOC, and then in the Senate, Senator Schatz has shown great leadership in putting a hold on nominees. Senator Van Hollen, Senator Sanders, of course, I think Senator Sanders has become the moral conscience of the Democratic Party. Frankly, had we nominated him, we probably would have won. He was right about a lot of things of the working class. And so, we ran with a status quo candidate. It was not an inspiring campaign of economic change and questioning the status quo. Now we need to show that we get it. We're going to reform our own party, and we're going to fight Elon Musk.
And so who is responsible right now for actually making these changes? Because, I described the power vacuum, but we actually want to know that there is somebody kind of calling the shots, encouraging people to step up. Does it happen by osmosis? Will it be like, last person standing? Or is there actually a targeted plan? Because I suppose the theory is that there is still a kind of historic Nancy Pelosi version of the party that arguably might want to run Kamala Harris again next time.
She has no chance. That's a non-starter. Right? Probably 20 Democrats for the House would have the Senate would have a better chance. But the point is that there's Hakeem Jeffries, who is very, very strong in terms of his leadership. I think he generally has the House confidence. But I think he needs to be out there more. We're encouraging him to be out there, and he has a plan of action. We discussed it in the House caucus. But I'm going to be honest to say that 2 months the Democrats really didn't have a clear direction. We had our tail between our legs after a
you're right about this kind of period of mourning. That was like people were in a depression. We all felt. But I agree with you. People are back. The support is back. So that's why there's the hope that the leadership is also back. But in terms of having a plan, I mean, the Republicans had a plan called Project 2025. That was a 900-page document. Those of us that read it, we were able to predict everything that's happening now. In fact, the Senate has voted on party lines to confirm Russell Vaughan, the key architect of Project 2025, to lead the Office of Management and Budget, despite your opposition. This is very worrying, that this kind of far-right Christian nationalist Heritage Foundation-led document is very much the Bible leading the Republican and the MAGA Republican movement. And how do you counter that? Because, they are organized, aren't they?
They have history.com. Forge your empire in Civilization 7. Or 20 Henry.
Well, we need to have our own vision and our own plan for 2028 and come up with a plan like Sanders. We're going to be preventing sprawl. We're going to be pro-living wage. We're going to be for taxing wealth. We're going to be for making college free, vocational education free. We're going to make sure that child care is $10 a day. We're going to have a total modern reindustrialization effort.
YouTube. Howard, good morning, my wonderful friend. Thank you again for all your kindness and acceptance. It means a lot. You're the best. Love you, friend.
I get it, but I do. You're welcome.
We need to stop the destruction
How am I doing?
of the government.
I woke up sick.
Millions of people from being denied benefits. I believe we're going to get our act together and what Obama won in 2008. It took the Republicans about 6 months of fighting around until they all settled on to stop Obama and stop the Affordable Care Act that had to be arrested the Tea Party. And Obama lost the pretty decisively. I think we're already there. No Democrat is going to be giving votes to Donald Trump and Elon Musk on the key issues. That wasn't clear in the first 50
YouTube.
days. But,
Howard, I'm sorry, buddy.
the jelly unification
Don't be.
party. And so I'm
Sickness happens, sadly.
YouTube. Howard, what's wrong?
Other than being sick. Good. Hurting. Well, if you're hot and cold. Congested sinuses and coughing stuff up. Nothing really. Oh, sausage, probably understandable.
Well, if you're I do want to say that I think it's that time frame, but we should be pretty clear. It's not about
YouTube. Howard, is it a cold or the face vomiting?
I'm not sure if it's a cold or flu. Probably not a cold. I typically don't deal with the flip-flop between hot and cold when I have a cold. That's usually a flu or pneumonia or something along those lines. Considering I have the settling in my chest, the mucus settled in my chest, and probably got pneumonia. Probably got walking pneumonia. Which means turning to stay inside, stay away.
I think that it's going to be a fight to make sure that we're pushing back on Donald Trump, absolutely. But I think we can get the numbers down to the low 40s, and that just will make it very
I'm having a crapper I can't use. I gotta go down to the office. Which it froze out there last night. Walking down to Joey's bathroom, I thought I was gonna have to watch my footing a bit more.
charge of your life, fullness, the clarity, the speed here, enhance your soul journey, CBD awareness month, to experience the powerful benefits of health. Trusted by over 500,000 customers, VIA is the Swiss Army knife of wellness, dedicated to harnessing the natural benefits of hemp to create high-quality wellness products. VIA's collection of THC products combines minor
YouTube. Howard. I hope you feel better soon. I woke up all congested and snorting.
targeted effects of conventional
Normally I've got a little bit of,
VIA
not my sinuses, it's all congested up there, but
THC
it's because the dog in you.
clouds, topicals, all crafted highest quality hemp sourced from trusted, independently owned. Best part, VIA legally ships to all states in the US with sweet packaging delivered to your door with worry-free guarantee. If you're 21 plus, check out the link to VIA in the description and use the code WEEKEND to receive 15% off if you're new to VIA or free gift options. Purchase, they ask you where you heard about it. Please support our show. It's helping me set this year. Enhance your everyday. This last election saw some significant suppressive simple things like to actually urge tens of thousands of millions vote. That is a big problem, especially when we see Donald Trump showing to do stepping down the news and saying, we'll give you a finance. And to me, that was a suggestion that no votes. And he actually has a chance of winning states that are right.
Well, there's no doubt that there was voter suppression. This is why I believe that we should have done everything possible to pass the job that was voting left, right, center. I give the president and vice president credit for trying. I don't think it was their fault that we did. It was the cinema who were unwilling to get rid of the filibuster. Next time, the Democrats need to make sure that we pass that and get rid of the filibuster when we're in the House, the Senate, and the presidency. The challenge is until then, we're going to have recognize that we're fighting against there are less polling places in predominantly African American and lower income areas. Eric Holder has researched on this that African Americans are having to stand in line longer than white Americans to vote. There have been purges of people who haven't voted but are registered to vote by secretaries of state. And the reality is it's going to take massive mobilization and inspiration to overcome it. But can we do it? Sure we can. Obama did it. Or Biden did it despite laws against him in 2020. Stacey Abrams was able to do it for Georgia. So we have to recognize the reality that we're fighting with one arm behind our back. And then when we do have power, we change the law.
The SAVE Act is the next thing that they have in mind, which I know was vetoed back in July by Biden. But this is another bill that they want to put back for a vote. And with control of the House and the Senate, then there's a very good chance they could get that onto statute. The SAVE Act does exactly this. It is a voter suppression act for the whole country. Is there a plan to kind of counter that? Is it even possible to do so?
Well, we need to counter it in the Senate. I think that is our best chance to see that they can't get 60 votes in the Senate. And then we need to counter it in the courts. And states need to adopt protections where they can that the federal government won't afford. But it is, like I said, until we get power back, it is a challenge that we're going to face these kind of suppression efforts.
Let's talk for a moment about DOGE, your favorite subject, I'm sure, Department of Government Efficiency, which is not the government department. A judge has kind of temporarily blocked this plan for I think the deadline was Thursday night, first thing Friday morning, for people to take up this idea that they could quit, resign, and get paid for 8 months, trying to reduce the size of the federal workforce. As I say, this was extended to Monday, so there could be further legal challenges. But this is very dangerous. The idea that Donald Trump, with Elon Musk, think that they can turn the largest employer in the country upside down. What effect do you think that will have? It's not just those workers, but people who rely on the federal government for services, for systems that we just take for granted.
Maybe I was wrong.
I was talking to someone in Pennsylvania. She said she voted for Trump, but her mother is in the hospital, and her mother's on Medicaid, and she got totally freaked out when that funding was paused, even though it was a few hours. You're causing extraordinary stress to people who rely on these funding streams and don't know if it's going to be there or not. For working class families whose kids go to public school, they need that funding for decent public schools in those neighborhoods. Or any family that has kids with special needs and has an IEP program, that is at risk if that funding gets paused. Any young person who's taking out a loan to go for vocational education or college or law school, or professional school, that is at risk. You have funding that is going for people who need it for food assistance, for heating assistance. All of that is at risk, and you have basically the situation where Trump and Musk think they have the authority to turn off the funding. Now, I said to a conservative, imagine if a Democratic president got elected, if a progressive Democratic president, he had an $850 defense budget right now, which is probably where most of the spending is. And the Democratic president just said, well, we don't want to spend that. We're just only going to do $400 billion in defense. Can you imagine the outrage in this country? Of course, you can't defy Congress's authorization.
Adobe AI Assistant helps me build
Code.
clients
Come on.
with AI Assistant. I can find contract details quickly. Having all of this together helps me position myself as an expert, and it gives me that confidence to talk to clients.
This extends to USAID as well. People have written to me saying, I'm an American citizen, why should I be paying for food programs in Africa? There is a bit of a misunderstanding about how foreign aid works, and the importance of international development, and how it comes back to us in the long run. Do you think Democrats maybe failed to explain to people that how it just represents less than 1% of the federal budget?
Well, we certainly failed in communicating that it represents less than 1% of the budget, because many people think it's 20 to 25%. And look, when people are hurting economically and they have lost their factory job, they are stagnating in wages, you can see healthcare costs high, homelessness. We say, well, why aren't you spending on us? Why are you spending overseas? And what we have to do is say our priority is spending locally in the community, and we're going to tax people who bring a lot of wealth to be able to make those investments. But if we also provoke a sense of moral conscience in terms of saving kids' lives, can have an anti-malaria program, can have a program on HIV to prevent people dying of HIV, AIDS, and towards other pushing in. But more than that, it is about American leadership, so that China or Russia don't develop those economic relationships with the other countries. And by the way, the reason we have such a great standard of living is we have relationships with all of these countries around the world, and we view the U.S. as the reserve currency that are supplying things and engaging in trade with us that are in an alliance of the free world. And that supports the American way of life, and it supports the American leadership. And that's such a small investment for that benefit.
We kind of need to change the culture. This is so baked in, and maybe this arguably is what helped Donald Trump win, is that there is this very selfish view from some Americans, not all, but enough to get Donald Trump majority clear, where this isolationist view of the US, America first, all this stuff, this is very cultural, and and it's tribal. And so, what are Democrats doing to actually counter that aspect? Because even Mitch McConnell was recently saying that he didn't believe it either. And I didn't really hear any Democrats picking up on that, saying, well, even the guy who's leading the Republicans in the Senate doesn't buy them.
I think you understand where that sentiment comes from. It comes from a feeling that over the last 50 years, the globalization of the economy and culture hasn't worked for a lot of them. That multinational corporations basically people snatched people's livelihoods away, took away their jobs, sent them offshore. Then you had multinational corporations looking for the cheapest labor, making huge profits, with private equity hollowing out businesses and getting large dividends. And people felt like they had no agency. And so the cry for nationalism, the cry for local control, the cry for saying our community needs to assert itself against impersonal global economic forces. The problem is that when it becomes simply isolationism, as opposed to recognizing that we abandoned communities, need to reinvest in those communities, need to rebuild our industrial base, and engage in the world, when it becomes an isolationism, then
I did not see that.
that deprives America of our leadership in the world. There's a lot of benefit for our standard of living of Americans, and it cheapens the American exceptional project, which is that we believe in the dignity and freedom of every person, and America wants to lead the world like that, and not allow the dictatorial regimes of Putin or communist China to do that. So we need to make the case that America as Reagan put in the city of the hill, as Kennedy put it, as a beacon to the world. But to do that, we have to understand the justified frustration so many Americans have with globalization.
Finally, let's just talk to this tragic crash that took place in Sydney last week. The response from Donald Trump was to blame diversity and equity, inclusion, and that kind of ricochet just about the US. Actually, his response went further. So it's kind of say basically just white men running these things, being in city institutions, being in profit controls. But the racist dogmas was really that infused with them. How did you feel just hearing that was the response from the president?
I felt shame. I felt sad. I felt sad. I felt sad because I've been on that plane in terms of landing into DC, not in Wichita, but so many times from California or other parts of the country. And I thought, what if that was me? What if it was someone I knew? What would the grief be of those families? The unimaginable grief, whose lives have been shattered, turned upside down for the rest of their lives. And instead of talking about that as any normal country would for a period of few days, instead of hearing about the stories of those families, instead of honoring the victims, instead of honoring the first responders, we have a president who's politicizing the tragedy. I didn't even think about the absurdity of what he was saying. I just thought, where is the humanity? Where is the humanity, not just in our president, that we are unable to grieve for something that lost. So I felt actually getting less anger at the president and more sadness for my nation, more sadness for the state of the political climate that we're in.
So grateful to you. I think there's so much to do, so many different fires that are burning. Colleagues, take
Well, I'm grateful to you because, I know people are upset with some of the lack of leadership, and I think people like you and your audience are stiffening the spine to those of us who are in the fight, saying, "Go! This is not the time to shirk. This is not the time to be polite. This is the time that you've got to fight for the constitutional democracy." But I got to tell you, it's not just going to be those of us elected. This is a fight of our lives. We need all of our citizens, and when people are out there pushing us, when they're coming out to town halls, when they're coming out in markets, when they're vocal in comments and online, that Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, support me /5 joining so YouTube channel. I'll be back next Sunday with a brand new special guest. More factory news to discuss. I'll be the news from the couch.
You get me over for a minute.
Sunday, February 9, 2025. To be David welcome to the weekend show where we make the time to consider the news of the week. You can support our independent journalism /5 news. Our guest today represents California's 17th congressional district, located in the heart of Silicon Valley. Congressman Rohan, welcome to the weekend show.
Thank you. I'm excited. I appreciate it. Thank you. The listeners are doing to stand up to democracy.
Well, that's the main issue is that there is a fear, general fear, that democracy has been undermined in the US to such an extent that the lunatics have taken the keys to the asylum. And I know that you sit on the oversight of the accountability committee. So you're the best place to talk to us about this. Maybe public enemy number one seems to be Elon Musk, who nobody voted for, and yet seems to be running the US government, as well as seeking to fire tens of thousands, of millions of staff. So maybe we could start with me just asking you, how do you feel about the status quo?
It's completely unacceptable. It's a constitutional crisis. That's why there was a bombshell exchange between Elon and me yesterday. Folks should view it. He unfortunately called me a dick. I've known Elon for 15 years. I initially said that Elon, I'm open to working on Doge if there are cuts of wasteful spending, and I acted in good faith when the president put him in that role. But he is violating the Constitution by trying to stop payments unilaterally. He has to come to Congress to work in partnership with Congress, and I called on him to testify in front of the oversight committee. I said he should be subpoenaed to do that, and he didn't like that, and so we went back and forth yesterday.
The problem, though, is that when you request a subpoena in a kind of normal government, then people would have to heed that request. But we're dealing with an abnormal government situation where even judges' rulings, there is a good chance that Donald Trump and Elon Musk simply ignore them. They don't seem to respect the institutions or those who seek to kind of maintain order in this country.
Well, you're right. The Republicans refused to vote to get them subpoena, but we still have leverage as Democrats, and I've said we need to have a plan. People say, but what is the plan? What is the plan? We need to communicate. We do know what we're doing. We have a plan. Every Democrat can do. First, don't give them any votes. No votes on the debt ceiling. No votes on funding government. No votes on the appointments until they make a commitment that they will spend every penny that Congress authorizes and appropriates. Second, we've got to be out there talking about the work federal civil servants are doing and that government is doing. Since 1980, we've been hearing government is bad, government is bad. This is a mantra in the United States. So when people come and say we want to cut federal service, folks who are helping us keep our clean air, keep our water safe, keep our airplanes safe, then people don't know the extraordinary work that they're doing to be able to defend them. They certainly need to be everywhere, show up everywhere on shows like yours, on podcasts, on conservative podcasts, with people who are being affected by these cuts. That is the plan of action. Democrats need to lead. There's a void of leadership. And I'm hoping that we can sort of get us in high gear to take on this fight.
You talk of this leadership vacuum on the Democrat side. Who is in charge?
But I think it's going to be Hakeem Jeffries. Hakeem is the minority leader. He is the one spectators. The president needs us to be able to raise the debt ceiling to fund the government. We know and President Sheinbaum, when the markets drop, he's going to fall if we stay together on the debt ceiling. And we need to get the concessions that he will make that he funds government for what kind of programs. And Elon's numbers are dropping. He's at 30-some percent approval. So we have power to play the victim hand. People want to see us fight.
I completely agree with you. It's great to hear you say it. But the issue, I guess, I'm just trying to speak on behalf of the people who I know are watching and are frustrated because they, nobody voted for me. We know. But in terms of leadership, people voted for Kamala Harris in huge numbers. Trump's mandate was only 1.5% above the success that Kamala Harris had. Would it be more helpful to maybe have the former vice president step up, to have more voices? I hear you on that, Nick Jeffries. Chuck Schumer is doing his old school moves. And, there was a lot of criticism of the "we will win" move that he chants that he did the other day, simply because it just seems so antiquated to the kind of describe its kind of ex-version Elon Musk was trying to bring.
Well, I think we need to do what I did, which is to take on a fight with Elon Musk, which is to take on a fight with him on his platform, to not feel afraid of standing up and going to the House floor. And I said that, we have a similar situation today when FDR called out the economic royalists and said there's economic tyranny and the economic elites are taking over government. We need to recognize that that's what's going on today. The leaders trying to take over government and stand firm. So I would recommend Senator Schumer give speeches from the Senate floor. It's probably a more comfortable framework. But look, the vice president lost badly in terms of all the 7 states, and I think we have to move on as a party. The status quo failed. We were not change agents. I don't think that's the future. I think what we need is a new generation of people stepping up and being strong. People like Greg Casar, people like Dalia Ramirez, Jonah Goose in the House, King Jeffries, AOC, and then in the Senate, Senator Schatz has shown great leadership in both putting a hold on nominees. Senator Van Hollen, Senator Sanders, Senator Sanders has become the moral conscience of the Democratic Party. Frankly, had we nominated him, we probably would have won. He was right about a lot of things of the working class. And so, we ran a status quo candidate. It was not a inspiring campaign of economic change. It questioned the status quo. Now we need to show that we get it. We're going to reform our own party, and we're going to fight Elon Musk.
So it's responsible for actually making these changes because, I describe the power vacuum, but we actually want to know that there is somebody kind of calling the shots and is encouraging people to step up. Does it happen by osmosis? Would it be like, last person standing? Or is there actually a targeted plan? Because I suppose the theory is that there is still a kind of historic Nancy Pelosi vote
especially.
that, arguably might want to run Kamala Harris again next time.
Yeah, the non-starter. Probably 20 Democrats up with the House or whatever. Or Senate would have been a chance. But the point is that there's King Jeffries, who is very, very strong in terms of his leadership. I think he generally has the House confidence. But I think he needs to be out there more, and we're encouraging him to be out there. And he has a plan of action. We discussed it in the House caucus. But I'm going to be honest, 2 months with Democrats really didn't have a clear direction. We had our tail between our legs after a pretty decisive defeat to Vice President Harris. But now, when Elon Musk and Donald Trump have overreached, when they stopped the payments, something went off around the country. There was an energy that I see that is bad amongst Democrats.
key architect of Project 2025 to lead the Office of Management Group and Budget, despite your opposition. This very worries that this kind of far-right Christian nationalist heritage foundation-led document is very much the Bible, leading the Republican movement. And that, because they are all
Well, we need to have our own vision and our own plan for 2028 and come up with a plan like standards. We're going to be for all living waste. We're going to be for taxing wealth. We're going to be for making college free, vocational education free. We're going to make sure that childcare is $10 a day. We're going to have a total modern reindustrialization effort to rebuild America's industrial base. We need a hard vision for 2028, but there's a vision for where we're back in power right now. We need to stop the destruction and takeover of the government to prevent millions of people from being denied benefits. I believe we need to get our act together and have pretty fast when Obama won in 2008. It took the Republicans about 6 months of flagging around until they all settled on this stop Obama and stop the Affordable Care Act, and that gave rise to the Tea Party, and Obama lost the midterms pretty decisively. I think we're already there. No Democrat is going to be giving votes to Donald Trump or Elon Musk on the key issues. That wasn't clear in the first maybe few days, but now there's pretty gelling unification of the party. And so I have great hope that the King Jeffrey's wife will be the Speaker of the House. And he's a new generation different than George Wilson.
respect for Keith Jeffries. But it takes an army. This is the problem that we see right now. It can't just be one person. And I guess maybe we saw that with Kamala Harris, like so much was put on her shoulders with not enough time. And I would think Keith Jeffries to carry such a huge load without having the support of everybody around him. You talk about 2028, there is some talk and fear. As Donald Trump has joked about it, it's never really a joke with him, sense of humor in the last 48 hours, that he could run in 2020, that he is entitled to a third term. Well, what are the chances that he is going to kind of ensure that there never will be a legitimate election ever again that gives Democrats the chance to actually win?
Well, if he runs for third division, Obama would win this time, more decisively. I do want to say that, I do think it was too short a time frame, but we should be pretty clear. It was not about a campaign. We were running a toy. We were not understanding the anger people felt around the country about the economic devastation. Basically, we were running a campaign as a status quo. Nothing is going to change. But we had to run a campaign of economic transformation and taking on institutions of politics that had let down many working and middle class Americans. That needs to be the lesson of the Democratic Party. Status quo set the candidates are going to win. They didn't win in 2016. Biden barely won, and that's I think because he was inspired by what Bernie had done and adopted some of that language. And they didn't win in 2024, and we need to make sure we're now running a full change agenda. Now, to think that it's going to be a fight and make sure that we're pushing back with Donald Trump, absolutely. But I think we can get his numbers down to below 40. And, that this will make it very hard for anyone in that approval rating to run for any third term. So I don't think there's a chance. We make it clear to the American people that his agenda is not popular.
What do you think, John? Clarity this new year. Enhance your slow agenda. Embrace CBD Awareness Month with Fire to experience the powerful benefits of hemp without the harm. Trusted by over 500,000 happy customers, Fire is the Swiss Army knife of wellness, dedicated to harnessing the natural benefits of hemp to create high-quality wellness products. Fire's collection of THC products combines minor cannabinoids like CBD, CBG, and CBN with botanical supplements for targeted effects you can actually feel. If you're looking to to buy a free gift of your choice. And after you purchase, they ask you where you heard about. Please support our show. Tell them we sent you this year. Enhance your everyday with fun. This last election saw a huge amount of voter suppression. Some reports have put in a significant numbers. Now, we know that Republicans have been suppressing the vote for decades. And simple things like not enough polling places, moving drop boxes, and this sort of stuff. But to actually purging tens of thousands of names from voter rolls and making it increasingly difficult to vote. That is a big problem, especially when we see Donald Trump showing up in California, as he did, and he got doorstep like Gavin Newsom, and saying, yeah, okay, we'll give you aid for your fires on the agreement that we do voter ID. I mean, to me, that was a suggestion that he knows that with voter ID, which is a form of voter suppression, that he actually has a chance of winning in states that otherwise he would not.
Well, there's no doubt that there was voter suppression. This is why I believe that we should have done everything possible to pass the job that was voting left, right, check. I give the president and vice president credit for trying. I don't think it was their fault that we didn't. It was Nation and Cinema were unwilling to get rid of the filibuster. Next time,
Cats, not cars.
to make sure that we pass that and get rid of the filibuster when we're in the House, the Senate, and the presidency. The challenge is until then, we're going to have to recognize that we're fighting with this apartheid. There are less polling places in predominantly African American, lower income areas. There is research on this that African Americans are having to stand in line longer than white Americans to vote. That encourages the people who haven't voted but are registered to vote in by secretaries of state. The reality is it's going to take massive mobilization and inspiration to overcome it. Can we do it? Sure we can. Obama did it. Despite laws against it in 2020, Stacey Abrams was able to do it for Georgia. So we have to recognize the reality that we're fighting with one arm behind our back, and then when we do it, we change the law.
The same is the next thing they have. Don't beat it. It's on mine. This is another bill that they want to put back for a vote, and with control of the House and the Senate, then there's a very good chance they could get that onto statute. And the SAVE Act does exactly this. It is a voter suppression act for the whole country. Is there a plan to kind of counter that? And is it even possible to do so?
Well, we need to hold the counter in the Senate. That's our best chance to see that they can't get 60 votes in the Senate, and then we need to counter it in the courts. And states need to adopt protections so they can that the federal government won't afford. But it is, like I said, until we get power back, it is a challenge that we're going to face these kind of suppression efforts.
Let's talk for a moment about DOGE, your favorite subject, I'm sure, Department of Government Efficiency, which is not a government department. A judge has kind of temporarily blocked this plan for I think the deadline was for Thursday night, Thursday, Friday morning, for people to take up this idea that they could quit, resign, pay for 8 months, trying to reduce the size of the federal workforce. As I say, this is extended to Monday, so further legal challenges. But this is very dangerous, isn't it? The idea that Donald Trump, with Elon Musk, think that they can turn the largest employer in the country upside down. But what effect do you think this will actually have on people's lives? Not just those workers, but people who rely on government for services and for systems that we just take for granted.
Well, it can be devastating. I was talking to someone in Pennsylvania. She voted for her, but her mother is in the hospital, and her mother's unmedicated. She got totally freaked out when that funding was paused, even though it was a few hours. So you're causing extreme stress to people who funding gets paused. Any person who's taking out a loan to go to vocational education or college or law school, that is at risk. Funding that is going for people who need it for assistance, for heating assistance, all of that is at risk. And you have basically the situation where Trump and Musk think they have the authority to turn off the funding. Now, I said to a conservative, imagine if a Democratic president got elected, a progressive Democratic president, with $800 billion defense budget right now, which is by most of the spending is. And the Democratic president said, well, we don't want to spend that, we're just only going to do $400 billion in defense. Can you imagine the outrage in this country? Of course, you can't defy Congress's authorization.
And this extends to USAID as well.
Christianity.
Talk to that just for a moment, because people have written to me saying, I'm an American citizen, why should I be paying for insurance in Africa? So there is a bit of a misunderstanding about how foreign aid works and the importance of international development and how it comes back to us in the long run. Do you think Democrats maybe failed to explain to people where this money goes and how it just represents less than 1% of the federal budget?
Well, we certainly failed in communicating that it represents less than 1% of the budget, because the many people think it's 20 to 25%. And local people are hurting economically. They have lost their factory job. They are stagnating in wages. They see healthcare costs high, homelessness. They say, well, why aren't we spending on us? Why are you spending overseas? And what we have to do is say our priority is spending locally in the community, and we're the taxpayer who make a lot of help to make those investments. But if we also promote a sense of moral conscience in terms of saving kids' lives, can have an anti-malaria program, can have a program on HIV to prevent people dying of HIV/AIDS and sort of how we push that. But more than that, it is about American leadership, so that China or Russia don't develop those economic relationships with the other countries. And by the way, the reason we have such a great standard of living is we have relationships with all of these countries around the world that we view the U.S. as the reserve currency, that are supplying things and engaging in trade with us, that are in an alliance in the free world, and that supports the American way of life, and it supports the American leadership. And that's such a small investment for that benefit.
We kind of need to change the culture. This is so baked in, and maybe this arguably is what helped Donald Trump win, is that there is this very selfish view of
Blah, blah, blah.
not all, but enough to get Donald Trump majority clear, where this isolationist view of the US, America first, all this stuff, this is very cultural, and it's trying. And so, what are Democrats doing to counter that aspect? Because even Mitch McConnell wrote a piece recently saying that he didn't either. So I didn't really hear any speaking up on that, saying the guy who's leading the country to the Senate doesn't quite.
Well, I think we understand what they're saying about Putin. It comes from a feeling that over the last 50 years, the globalization of the economy and the culture hasn't worked for a lot. That multinational corporations basically people's livelihoods, took away their jobs, sent them all to work. Multinational corporations looking for the cheapest labor, making huge profits, with private equity hollowing out the businesses and getting large dividends. And people felt like they had no agency. And so the cry for nationalism, the cry for local control, the cry to say our community needs to assert itself against impersonal global economic forces. The problem is that when it becomes simply isolationism, as opposed to recognizing that we abandoned communities, need to reinvest in those communities, need to rebuild their industrial base, but engage in the world, when it becomes an isolationism,
That's what we're up to.
it deprives America of leadership in the world. It's a lot of benefit for power and standard of living of Americans, and it cheapens the American exceptional project, which is that we believe in the dignity and freedom of every person, and America wants to lead a world like that. America as Reagan put it, a city on the hill, and as Kennedy put it, as a beacon to the world. But to do that, we have to understand the justified frustration some Americans have with globalization.
Finally, let's just talk to this tragic crash that took place in DC last week. The response from Donald Trump was to blame diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that kind of ricocheted not just around the US but around the world. The idea that actually his response went further than some of his surrogates came out saying we basically just need white men running these things, being in senior positions, being aircraft controllers. But the racist dog was really back in the years. How do you feel just hearing that was the response from the President of the United States?
I felt ashamed. I felt sad. I felt sad. I felt sad because I've been on that plane in terms of landing into DC and out of Wichita, but so many times for California or other parts of the country. And I thought, what if that was me? What if it was someone I knew? What would the grief be in those families? The unimaginable grief whose lives have been shattered, turned upside down for the rest of their lives. And instead of talking about that as any normal country would for a period of 2 days, instead of hearing about the stories of those families, instead of honoring the victims, instead of honoring the first responders, we have a president who's politicizing the tragedy. I didn't even think about the absurdity of what he was saying. I just thought, where is the humanity? Where is the humanity, not just in our president, but in our country, that we are unable to grieve for something that lost? So I felt actually it gives me less anger at the president and more sadness for my nation, more sadness for the state of the political climate that we're in.
One day I want to ace my serve. One day I want to fill my passport. One day I want to nail my skincare routine. So I make healthy choices and take a multivitamin designed for women. One a day is the multivitamin designed for every woman's one day. We're here for you. Science that matters for nutritional support. Grab your one a day vitamin at your favorite retailer today.
We have to finish, but I'm so grateful to you. I think there's so much to do right now. Isn't there? So many different fires that are burning, and I wish you and your colleagues all the luck.
Well, Anthony, I'm grateful to you because, I know people are upset with some of the lack of leadership, and I think people like you and your audience are sticking the spine for those of us who are in the fight, saying, go, this is not the time to shirk, this is not the time to be polite, this is the time that you got to fight for the constitutional democracy. But I got to tell you, it's not just going to be those of us elected. This is a fight of our lives. We need all of our citizens. And when people are out there pushing us, when they're coming out to town halls, when they're coming out in marches, when they're vocal in comments and online, that is the type of energy we need to defeat Donald Trump. It's the type of energy we saw in 2017 to 2020. I was concerned that energy was missing over the last couple months, but it's returned. And what gives me hope is not that we've discovered the leadership, that vacuum still needs to be fully filled. What gives me hope, though, is that the citizens are mobilized. And when you mobilize citizens, Abraham Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything, and I believe that's what will allow us to prevail.
Okay. For now, Congressmember O'Connor, thank you for joining.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm Anthony Davis. Don't forget to support me and independent journalists. Patreon.com/5Minute News or by joining the 5 Minute News YouTube channel. I'll be back next Sunday with a brand new special guest. More factual news to discuss on 5 Minute News weekend. By this time. Stop.
Today we're going to talk about Elon Musk's fatal mistake with Doge, and I've got 3 interviews. I speak with Congressman Jamie Raskin about his own view and Trump's broader overreach. Senator Brian Schatz joins to discuss his plan to stall Trump's progress, and I interview Senator Chris Murphy about Trump's effort to distract us from this flooding of zone. I'm Brian Taylor Cohen, and you're watching live. So, talking point being trotted out right now about
Sorry, Brian.
you support getting rid of waste fraud and abuse, and
If you're not on the list, you know video number 1 right now.
I mean, look at this.
You tipped the meat
Like
list.
Sunday, you see these photos of him at the Super Bowl. He was only able to make it to half.
Oh, you bastard.
At the Super Bowl, he was only able to make it to halftime, and then he left early. And then as soon as he left, the Kansas City Chiefs got their first touchdown in a game that was otherwise a blowout after Donald Trump predicted the Chiefs were going to win. Samuel L. Jackson was there at the halftime show, the Kendrick Lamar halftime show, and Samuel L. Jackson was dressed as Uncle Sam. And even Samuel L. Jackson said, look at this guy, what in the world? It's going out of control right there. You had Trump's inherit from that back shot right there, stormed off the field in halftime. And then while all of this was going on, there's serious things taking place, like all of Donald Trump's threats of like tariffing everybody's backfiring in his face. Beginning Monday, China is implementing its tariffs up to 15% on $14 billion in U.S. exports, including LNG, coal, crude oil, and select vehicles, as reported by the Financial Times. They actually included additional things to tariffs as well. And by the way, the Super Bowl, I went to my supermarket just to see one of them, even against them. When I looked at the price of $11.49 for eggs. But Dr. Jill Biden was at the Super Bowl. She was working for the team that won EAGLE as Eagles. You see her there with her family. Our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, I think it puts it all in perspective. Check out MinusPlus.com, curates MinusPlus.com. Filipkowski goes, while Musk runs the country, Trump had a productive weekend naming himself chair of the Kennedy Center, picking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, canceling pennies, demanding Google Maps rename Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, inviting only white immigrants from Africa to immigrate to the United States while revoking TPS status, temporary protected status, of Venezuelans and other Latinos. And he also did an executive order trying to save plastic straws. And as Filipkowski says, when do we get to the lower prices? When do we get to the lower inflation? When do we get to the creating more jobs thing? But that was infuriated by the halftime show. You had all the influencers like Eric Downey saying, raise your hand if you survive the Black Nationalist Super Bowl halftime show. Where Matt Gaetz goes, the halftime show you just watched is clearly the regime's response to Trump's historic gains with black men. And as the note here says, Kendrick Lamar was announced as the halftime show several months before Trump won. The regime, like literally Gates, you are the regime. Trump's the regime. Trump's the government. Y'all are just going to pretend for the next 4 years that what former President Biden is y'all are made promises. So now you're talking about changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which you did a whole publicity stunt before the Super Bowl, and Donald Trump did the whole publicity stunt. We're over the Gulf of America right now, is what the captain announced. Donald Trump then said during halftime that he was destroying the pennies. We're getting rid of all of the pennies. Then he did an executive order saying that no more plastic straws, no more paper straws, just plastic straws. So before the game began, Donald Trump did this interview with Brett Baer on Fox. The game was on Fox. And Brett Baer asked Donald Trump, so are you serious about annexing Canada? And then Donald Trump said, yep, I want to make it the 51st state. I'm very serious about annexing. Here, play this clip.
Mr. said this weekend, Canadian businessmen was a private meeting said for Canada being the 51st state is a
You're smoking crack, Trump.
Essentially a subsidy to Canada. Now, they're 51st state that are like.
Then while Donald Trump
We're losing money to Canada? No! No, we're not. Motherfucker's smoking crack. Canada makes us money. Canada provides us for all of the trade we need. We're not losing money to Canada.
And while Donald Trump was traveling to the Super Bowl, he just like out of nowhere announced that starting Monday there would be 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States starting on Monday. This just announcement came out of nowhere. No tariffs. Then yes, tariffs. The chaos is really problematic. Here, play this clip.
I buy cheaper from CD keys.
No tariffs. Then yes, tariffs. The chaos is really problematic. Here, play this clip.
Steel coming into the United States is going to have a 25% U.S. Steel was one of our great companies. And also been management of the company. Lost that last thing. But it's going to gain it back, and tariffs are going to help. Tariffs are going to make it very successful. And I think it is good management. Yeah.
Well, the man in power is an absolute moron that doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about.
Again, this caught all of these other nations off guard. So, in Canada, they just learned about it because Donald Trump just randomly said it. Trump promises 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, including from Canada. Then the Australian government responded. Australian government scrambles to secure exemptions to Trump's 25% tariff on steel imports.
Well,
They really wanted to talk about all the MAGAs.
Come on.
Proclamation signed aboard Air
Let me
Force
preface.
One above the Gulf of America, naming everything
preface.
Gulf of America. And then the Interior Secretary, Doug Burgum, goes, it's official.
Were you surprised, Pat?
Congratulations, POTUS, on the Gulf of America. The Interior Department has implemented your instructions from the executive order on restoring nations that honor America. Another big win for President Trump's agenda to make America great again. Big win? What are you talking about? Google shall hereby name the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. And then they spent all their time talking about it. And Donald Trump wanted to make it clear that the bigger news, this had to be about him. The bigger news of the day is not the Super Bowl, but about the Gulf of America. Here, play this clip.
What is here, dude?
Then Donald Trump went back to, Mar-a-Lago, wherever he's going. He spent the whole weekend golfing as egg prices were skyrocketing. But by the way, on Air Force One, Donald Trump continued to talk about occupying Gaza. So just to be clear, occupying Canada, annexing it, conquering it with force. Same thing with Gaza. Here's what he says, that he's committed to buying and owning it. Here, play this clip.
Now, committed to buying and owning Gaza. As far
was asked on board Air Force One about Elon's financial disclosures, why they remain secret. Well, Elon's been given access to all of our records, Social Security, medical, you name it, Elon has access to. Play this clip.
Why did Elon's financial disclosures remain secret? Corruption that's taking place. His financial disclosures, largely the number of shares that he's got in very public companies, and that's not secret at all. If you read that, you see a lot. I mean, he talks about this whole thing. I read one where we give a very good history of him, but basically it's a number of shares done to a certain stock price. It's public. What you have to do is read it.
And actually, this was a good question. So then the reporter asked Donald Trump, so you want to occupy Gaza, so are you going to welcome the Palestinians here to the United States the same way you did an executive order where you're welcoming just the white South Africans can immigrate to the United States under Trump's executive order? On the other hand, Trump's Venezuelan supporters who are here under TPS and the family members of Trump supporters who are here under temporary protected status because they fled Maduro, Donald Trump cut deals with Maduro, the dictator in Venezuela, to send the Venezuelans back to Maduro to get killed and tortured by Maduro, or the Venezuelans can go to concentration camps in either El Salvador or at Guantanamo Bay. South Florida, these are Trumpy areas right now, but the white South Africans, they can come here. But what about the Palestinians? Donald Trump goes, I don't know, they're too far. They're too far.
What's up,
South Africans, the white South Africans, very close. Palestinians.
You know, two kind of. Just fucking doing more news and being sick. I think I got pneumonia. Chest congestion, coughing shit up, a little bit of chest pain. Not much. Sore joints all over the place.
I'm playing Neverwinter.
Nice. Neverwinter's pretty good.
The game's good.
Mm-hmm. It's been a few years since I was on. I didn't play too much, honestly. It was too much like a World of Warcraft clone for me. And I want to play World of Warcraft. I know how to do it. Free. And I can actually do classless. If you've never played WoW, honestly, couldn't have picked a better time to try. If you look up Ascension WoW, that was the server I just got back on recently, and well, then Christmas Day my hard drive went shot, and don't exactly have room for that, as well as the other games. But Ascension has multiple servers, including vanilla play, wildcard play, and custom classless. So, you ever wanted to be a freaking hammer-wielding mage wielding a warhammer? Oh, so do I. That's why I don't use them. Yeah, I don't play subscription base.
WoW seems complicated. Too many things to do.
It's no more complicated than Neverwinter, my friend. As a matter of fact, it's a little more simplistic. I hate to say it. Going into a custom classless, that would be more complicated. But you'd still be able to figure it out without too much trouble. It's my last cigarette. I really don't want to pull that.
Neverwinter is the best MMO I ever played.
Yeah, I grew up on original EverQuest. Which personally, I like better. I like World of Warcraft better than EverQuest. Yeah, I first got into those games when I was in my teens. One of my uncles was playing EQ. Kind of like, what? What is this? Loki, where are you staring? Thank you.
This is
I'm mad.
Cheats way out now. Not only does it look great, but it also makes
Palestinians too much. This is just like
you're going.
I think it's a very far distance for them to travel. But I have to look at individual cases. But I do think that coming into the United States will take a lot of people.
You're accepting South African whites. And that's not too far to travel. But the Palestinians? It's too far for them to travel?
Alright, I'll go back to Neverwinter. Got to reach level 20 today.
Can't say blame you, friend. Enjoy.
Have a nice stream, bro.
You too. I mean, not stream, but game.
Long way for them to travel. They're far away from their families and their friends and everything else. I think they'd be very happy staying in the general area with a safe, where they can be safe and lead a good life. They don't want to go back to Gaza. As I said, I've said it a lot. They only go back because they have no welfare. They don't want to go back to Gaza. So we'll see. We hope they will be helped by Egypt. We hope they will be helped by Jordan. We hope they will be helped by other countries. We hope spend some money.
So that's what Donald Trump's been doing.
The wallpaper is
all
magnificent.
kind of influencers saying things like this. The halftime show should have been the Village People with.
Thanks, but it's not wallpaper. That's real. I've got a window on the other side that leaks like a sieve. So, insulation. Just happen to have a few extra boxes. So, yeah, that is a full ass quilt of boxes. That goes all the way over. The monster ones aren't for insulation. Those are for decor. Yeah. Little did I realize my kitty was trying to tell me last night I was getting sick.
Donald Trump doing the Trump dance on center stage, and you know it. The arena would have gone berserker mode. Would have been viral halftime show, most viral in NFL history.
Blocks. That's a good one. I'm gonna make sure that one gets out because that really wasn't all that bad. You were using the word properly.
Don't hog all the pussy man, leave some for the rest of us, please.
My little girl practices stranger danger. She's met my mom and dad and spent a decent amount of time around them. Has even pet my mom. Anytime they come in the trailer, she's hiding. For some reason, she doesn't like Dad anymore. When she was a kid, she did. Dad was her best friend. Now she don't. Now she growls and hisses at it. Not so much heavy on the hissing, but definitely on the growl. And I don't know why. Neither does Dad and neither does Mom. They're just like, what? I said the only thing I could think was the fact that Dad stopped coming out almost daily. So she didn't get to see him. She was young enough. No. She could feel betrayed by him. Can't explain why she bonded so hard with me.
Read the room, NFL.
I did not have that.
Read the room, NFL. Share if you agree. They hated the Kendrick Lamar halftime show, which was pretty good. Folks, protests are growing as well. We saw even over the...
So Kendrick more than did a protest halftime show more than anything? Do I need to watch this halftime show and actually see what's going on? It wasn't just the typical halftime show? Yeah, I know Santa was up there. This is in Sam, but... maybe I need to. Football's not my thing. I don't typically tune in for the halftime shows or anything.
Over the past few days, the protests growing in Washington, D.C.
Good.
This was over the weekend. Shut down the Senate, shut down the Senate was being chanted for hours. More massive U.S. protests ongoing. Sources here report lots of people are getting ready for protests in the future. But take a look at what's going on in Germany as well. In Germany, you have people protesting against the extreme right-wing parties there. I don't know, I think that's going to look like Washington, D.C. is going to as people start peacefully protesting and letting our voices be heard. Speaking about letting voices be heard, Canadians letting their voices be heard for sure as Donald Trump continues to threaten, harass, and abuse Canada. Canada is standing up. There's a travel boycott, Canadians not coming to the U.S., and then there's an overall boycott of American products. Put it this way, if just
Canada saying no
of Canadian travel and touring.
Honestly, I don't blame Canada for that. Not at all. Here's why. Trump is a dictator. What are dictators known to do to us? Yeah, no, I don't blame them whatsoever. I would want my people not to come down here too. And as far as the ban on American products being sold, that's not completely accurate. It's on red state products, quite literally. I mean, case in point, they're still selling Pendleton whiskey up there. That's an Oregon whiskey.
Cool cat.
She is. Or are you talking about me? Let's get back to it.
To the U.S. stops, because that brings in about $22 billion a year annually. That would cause a $2 billion damage, and just 10% stop, and would cost 144,000 American jobs in the tourism and hospitality industry here in the United States. Take a look right here at what's going on at the Peace Arch border. Nobody's I would not be shocked. I know all my Canadian friends who are watching this from across. You know, I know Midas Touch is probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest, news network right now in Canada. Canadians are not buying American. They are not traveling to it. It is a scarlet letter if you're Canada, and unless you're forced to be here, you are not going here. Canada is uniting and saying no to America because of Donald Trump, and they are uniting like never before. As Charlie Angus, our friend here at the Midas Touch Network, says, Trump is bragging that Canadians think so little of their own birthright that they are begging to join his gangster crew. Looks like the people in Canada aren't buying his bullshit. The boycott is strong. Do not spend 1 cent in America until the tyranny is gone. Keep it up. Nobody at the Peace Arch border last night. I've never seen the border like this ever. Ever. And by the way, a lot of the MAGA Republican senators
Sorry. Again, I don't know why he's saying all American products. I mean, unless one of y'all from up there in Canada can correct me right now, as far as I can tell, y'all was still doing blue state sales. No. Yes, Daddy's hurting. Everyone, Daddy's joints hurts, except maybe his neck. And fingers and toes. Those sort of things. Wrists, elbows, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, back. Oh.
And Congress members, they're getting very pissed behind the scenes that Trump's cuts to NIH and Trump's cuts to CDC and Trump's cuts to USA are destroying their states. I'll give you an example. Trump is basically cutting massive spending by the University of Alabama, for example, gets huge amounts of money from the NIH. University of Alabama, Birmingham is like the biggest employer in the state, and a lot of their money comes from NIH. That's being gutted right now. So Katie Britt, one of the Republican senators from Alabama, says we need maybe a smart targeted approach, Donald. Maybe don't hit Alabama with it. Let's talk about what one of the next big fights is going to be this week. It's important that we focus on this together. J.D. Vance is saying the quiet part out loud. He goes, if a judge tried to tell a general how to conduct a military operation, that would be illegal. If a judge tried to command the attorney general and how to use her discretion as a prosecutor, that's also illegal. Judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. And so what we're going to see right here is, I think, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and the MAGA gangsters, the actual gangster regime, the authoritarian regime, they're not going to follow. They already aren't. But we're going to see it more pronounced this week. Not following federal court orders. And then when they get hit with contempt by the federal judges, they're just not going to do anything. They're going to say, we're just going to go and be the dictators and not follow court orders. So pay attention to that. The reaction of these federal judges, including Republican federal judges, Trump-appointed federal judges, when Trump and his gangster crew of J.D. Vance and others are saying that they are not going to follow the law. By the way, here's Donald Trump saying just that on Air Force One. Let's play it.
Doesn't matter how cute she may look.
But we're going to see what happens. We have a long way to go. And
She's a Bible preacher.
Fraud, waste, abuse.
Nice day.
And the president can't look for fraud and waste and abuse. We're not in the country anymore. So we're very disappointed with the judges that would make such a ruling. But we have a long way to go. We have to look. We have to fight all of the fraud that's going on. We have tremendous fraud, tremendous waste, and tremendous abuse, and theft, by the way. And the day you're allowed to look for theft and fraud, etc., then we don't have much of a country. So no judge should be, frankly, be allowed to make that decision. It's a disgrace. And finally, I'll do a whole other video take on this, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it here, that Donald Trump just filed a $20 billion amended complaint against CBS for the 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris, and he added Ronnie Jackson as a plaintiff because Ronnie Jackson's a member of Congress from Amarillo, and Trump wants to judge shop to keep the case in Amarillo before a MAGA judge. So he's having Ronnie Jackson say that he's a consumer getting a consumer injury by having to watch the 60 Minutes piece back in October of 2024 with Vice President Kamala Harris, and somehow that cost both of them $20 billion in injuries. I mean, I know it's utterly ridiculous there, but it's just also interesting too that you have Ronnie Jackson claiming to be a plaintiff under Texas consumer protection statutes, as Donald Trump and Elon Musk just destroyed the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is one of the strongest ways to protect against corporate exploitation of consumers. It's returned about $20+ billion to consumers. So you see what they're doing here. You see their hustle. And we, the people, aren't going to take it. The people are going to rise up peacefully. We're going to peacefully take to the streets. We're seeing that across the country. And we're going to cover all of those protests here peaceful. It's important that we remain peaceful. But people are fed up here. People are fed up in Canada. People are fed up in Europe. People are fed up in Australia. The weakness of Donald Trump is so exposed. You see our enemies just laughing at this, and our allies just horrified to see the United States of America become this idiocracy, kleptocracy that looks like North Korea. It's like just a larger Kim Jong-un. It's embarrassing to be here right now. It's an embarrassing time. This is a humiliating time for Americans who want to respect our country, actually respect our Constitution, who
fix it.
Equality and normalcy and democracy. Well, there you have it. We've got a lot of content, of course, throughout the day. We're going to keep you posted on everything. Follow all of the updates here. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 4 million subscribers. Let's do it. Thanks for watching. Hey, Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram, @MidasTouch, to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.
Yeah, you guys want too much though.
Well, another day, another scandal has been reported that's
Well,
swirling
you
around
TikTok,
Kash
too.
Patel, Donald Trump's embattled nominee to head the FBI. This has to do with an investment in a company that's controlled by another Chinese company that has been accused by the U.S. government and even people associated with Donald Trump as using forced labor to make their fashion products, using and exploiting an ethnic minority in China known as the Uyghurs, using Uyghur forced labor, and it looks like, based on the reporting and the disclosures made by Kash Patel, that he's invested in a Cayman Island holding company that's controlled by Shine, S-H-E-I-N, a Chinese company that uses forced labor. I'm Michael Popak. I'll explain it all here on the Midas Touch Network and Legal AF. Now, as part of his confirmation process, Kash Patel had to disclose his financial holdings. He apparently is vesting, meaning he is earning over time equity interest in a company that he has disclosed as being named Elite Depot, a Cayman Island holding company. He says it's a fashion company, but it's not a fashion company, it's a holding company. And a parent company that controls it is this Shine Chinese company. Shine has been on the watch list of the State Department and other governmental entities, including with the Trump administration, for a long time. I mean, the Trump administration right now is considering putting Shine on a watch list for using forced labor. The forced labor being the ethnic minority that's being exploited in China, the Uyghurs. Okay, what's the connection with Kash Patel? The company that he is getting equity in and is bought.
For those wondering, that's our big issue with China. That's why we have trouble with the Great China. Because they use forced labor. Force people to take a lesser than them to work in the factories for no pay. Or little pay. It's not okay, China. Not okay.
Into where it was paid as part of some sort of consultancy and earning up to $1 to $5 million, that's the range on the disclosure form. It's owned by the company that used forced Uyghur labor to build and make and manufacture its products, and he refuses to divest. He said he's earning these shares. They're not his yet, but he's getting them over time. It'll be after the confirmation process, and he has no intention of divesting it. That's the thing about the Trump administration. They have no interest in resolving ethical conflicts because they don't see any ethical financial conflicts or entanglements of any of their people. I mean, the Commerce Secretary filed, 500 pages of disclosures about 1,400 companies that he's a part of, including this giant financial services company and public services companies, and all of that. Every one of them paid bonding with millions and millions of dollars of lobbying for foreign countries against America's interests. And you've got an investment by the FBI director nominee in a company that's notoriously against human rights. How is he going to crack down on human trafficking? The question goes. If he himself is invested in a company that exploits the labor of a compelled slave market in China. Now, Marco Rubio, who is the Secretary of State, he did get confirmed. He just recently, with Senator Tom Cotton, was all over the Chinese exploitation of Uyghur, and of Shine in particular, and came out strongly against them. But now that he's the Secretary of State, he's lost all convictions, he's lost all of his cojones to fight back. Is that it? Loyalty to Donald Trump is more important than human rights violations? Are we okay as an American people having an FBI director who's invested in a company that's controlled by a Chinese company that bases its business model on forced labor in 2025? Is that okay? So Shine is already on a list, a forced labor list, an entity known as America First, founded by Stephen Miller, Donald Trump's White House counselor now. It was sort of a think tank where all the MACA went to wait for Donald Trump to become president again. Even America First published a paper called Genocide Decoupling, which listed Shine as being an entity that exploits ethnic minorities in forced labor for their products. And you'd think, well, maybe Kash Patel didn't get the memo from America First Policy Institute. He worked there. He was a senior fellow. And the person that was right next to him that was running their constitutional law department was Pam Bondi, who's now his ultimate boss as the director of, or the Attorney General of the Department of Justice. This is the charade that we spend a considerable amount of time and effort here on the Midas Touch Network and Illegal AF exposing. If you're not okay with this reporting about Kash Patel owning into a company that's this closely related to a company using forced labor in China, and human rights issues that result from that, speak to your local senator, speak to your senator, you have 2 in each state, object and stop the confirmation of Kash Patel. Now, I know a lot of these are getting through. Pam Bondi, Attorney General, Russ Vought for the Office of Management and Budget, Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth, one of the most obscenely unqualified, for the Pentagon, by 1 vote. The only tie was broken by the Vice President, J.D. Vance, the only time I've seen him in the last 20 days. In addition to that, you've got others coming up, right? You've got RFK Jr.'s and his confirmation vote coming up, and the rest. But I want to expose this. I really appreciate the reporting that I've seen on this particular issue. Keep an eye on Shine, S-H-E-I-N. Kash Patel's involvement through a company named Elite Depot, and his shares that he's holding and refusing to sell will do it right here on the Midas Touch Network at Illegal AF. Follow me, Michael Popak, on all things at the intersection of law and politics. I do my law and politics commentary in 2 places, Midas Touch Network and on our collaborative channel called Legal AF, MTN for Midas Touch Network. Help us continue to grow that pro-democracy channel. Help us get to 500,000 before our half birthday. It's hard to believe. It's all because of you. I'm doing my curating part. We're busting our hump doing the content, but you're the loyal, engaged audience, and we really appreciate you, and we are humbled by it. We stand on your shoulders for everything that we do. Wednesdays and Saturdays, Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Legal AF, the podcast on this YouTube channel. I got so excited. We are the OG podcast, 5 years in the making at the intersection of law and politics, ranked top 8 in the world. Again, all because of you, not because of us. And then I got a new podcast called Popak Live, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this YouTube channel. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popak. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the topics.
That's one.
MAGA thought they were voting for America First, but all they voted for is to get screwed first. Grocery prices are skyrocketing, jobs are disappearing. Trump, well, he's laughing all the way to the bank, selling Bibles and cryptocurrency. And the propaganda arm of the right wing, we all know who that is. They're claiming it's patriotic to pay more for consumer goods. Are you kidding me? Trump campaigned on a promise to lower grocery prices. But in true con man Trump fashion, his minions are once again pulling the wool over his voters' eyes in a classic bait and switch move. Roll clip.
But I want on the border, and I want on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word to groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, 15 trips
China
price over a short period of time. And I want an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
It hasn't even been 2 weeks, and not only is Trump breaking promises to his base, he's actually doing the exact opposite of what he said he was going to do. Lower the price of groceries.
The president-elect is moving the goalposts on some of his pledges, like lowering the price of groceries. It's hard to bring things down once they're up, Trump says. You know, it's very hard.
Now, he's trying to convince his base that it's actually a good thing that they're going to pay more. That it's the patriotic thing to do. So what does MAGA think about this? Well, some are doubling down, claiming that Trump has given them everything that they've ever wanted. Now, these are the same people that go out and buy a brand new car at 30% interest and walk away thinking that they got a good deal. Let's just hear what they have to say. Like this tweet from Megan Michelle. Dear Liz, you can post all that you want that MAGA regrets their vote. I can assure you, we most certainly do not. He's doing literally everything we overwhelmingly voted for him to do and more. Hashtag MAGA. Or this tweet from Dennis. Well, MAGA, 2 weeks in, do you regret your Trump vote? I don't. I voted for every single thing he's doing. Others are finally pulling the curtain back and realizing that the great, powerful Oz is just a pathetic old man with a bunch of makeup on his face pulling the biggest con of his life. Dorothy and the Tin Man are starting to wisen up. Oh my God, I feel so guilty that I voted for you, Donald Trump. I hope Jesus will forgive me because the things that you are doing already is dictatorship. I can't believe you're attacking a whole group of people. Please forgive me, Lord Jesus. I'm starting to regret voting for Donald Trump. I have been a huge MAGA supporter, busted my ass helping him get elected, donated a lot of hard-earned money. I'm starting to slowly regret that vote. No, I've never in a million years voted for cackling Kamala. But the more I hear from Trump, the more worried I'm becoming. He's almost completely fucking with federal programs like school lunches. Shit like that is amped up. And a big reason MAGA is regretting their vote is we have officially entered the Trump trade war 2.0. And the ones that are going to feel it first and hardest is own MAGA base. In other words, FAFO. Roll clip.
The actions taken today by the White House split us apart instead of bringing us together. Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods.
So Trump has officially slapped a 25% tariff on both Canadian and Mexican goods and a 10% tariff on Chinese imports, claiming that this is going to protect American jobs. But it's not a tax on foreign government. It's a tax on us, the people. Trump is running the same failed playbook that triggered the Great Depression. In the 1930s, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act was supposed to protect American jobs. I think I've heard that before. Instead, it triggered a full-blown economic collapse. Exports plummeted by 61%, millions of jobs were lost, and unemployment skyrocketed to nearly 25%. And now, Trump is making the exact same mistake. The only difference is this time, the first victims are going to be his own voter base in red states. Instead of saving jobs and wiping them out, leading to bank failures, business closures, and extreme economic hardships. And now Trump is running the same playbook, but he's expecting a different result. Every major tariff war has destroyed more American jobs than it has created. Trump's policies won't just fail to bring jobs back, they'll make everyday life even harder for the very people that voted for him. Now, red states are the primary target of retaliatory tariffs, causing MAGA significant pain. Roll clip.
According to the New York Times, which is currently reporting from Toronto, Canada has said it has a detailed retaliation plan for the U.S. tariffs that will seek to hurt Republican states the most. It's important to note that the executive order signed by Donald Trump today includes a clause that specifies that should Canada retaliate against U.S. tariffs, Donald Trump, quote, may increase or expand in scope the duties imposed under this order to ensure the efficacy of this action. So it sounds like Republicans in Republican states are about to find out just how bad tariffs are and just how bad trade wars are.
And the irony of all of this is that Trump picked a fight with our allies, but it's going to be his voter base that's going to pay the price. Canada and Mexico, they're not stupid. They know exactly who to target with retaliatory tariffs. The red states. Kentucky bourbon, shatter. Florida orange juice, squeeze. Georgia's peanut farmers, well, they're going to go broke. And some provinces in Canada are even removing all of the American-made alcohol from their shelves. So what's the result? Red state local economies are going to get absolutely kneecapped.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been 2 weeks. 7 out of the 10 largest U.S. agricultural states voted for Trump. And now their economies are about to get hammered with a triple threat. Trump's tariff,
That's an understatement. If you live in a red state and aren't the Trump supporter, not just for me, but Canada as well, we're sorry. I wish we didn't have to sweep you guys up. Once again, not just for me, but for Canada as well. Canada said this is the way that we can cause the most amount of inconvenience / harm, not per se, but also hurt the least of those who actually did. Harm was the least. Canada is very thoughtful about what they do. And they decide not to play nice, you all are fucked. There's a reason why Canada said to be America is a psychotic hat. You know, guess what? That hat doesn't support Mega.
Retaliatory tariffs and an entire labor market that's going to get
Howard, hi my dear friend.
Now, the same farmers and small business owners that are chanting, build the wall, are
I am cold. I sound stuffy and congested because I'm sick. Yeah, I think that's what little girl was trying to warn me about last night when she needed for loving. I got up this morning and shook a chin. I was feeling it instantly. It's like, is that what you're trying to warn me about last night? No vomit or anything. Just a bunch of cough. Back up. Yeah, I know it's not that cold. I'm cold. I mean, I'm the kind of cold that hair on my legs and arms are intermittently standing up. The kind of cold you know you're sick. So, yeah, that's kind of why I'm putting her in the corner this time instead of my normal spot. My fucking influence had dumped on my knuckles and my jaw. And even some of my knuckles and my toes are kind of working on. Co-op is productive, so.
About to watch their crops rot in the field. Not because immigrants are coming and stealing good American jobs, but because we're about to deport the entire labor force that works out in the fields. So MAGA voters, do you see what's happening? Trump isn't hurting China. He's only hurting you. Trump likes to tell MAGA that these tariffs are punishing China. Lies, lies, lies. By the master liar and master manipulator.
No, he's not.
The reality is
no, he's not a master liar or manipulator. I'm sorry, no. He's a narcissist. Ugh. And a lot of you are just fucking blind. Because you wanted to follow aggression. You felt you had to get back at somebody. Because somebody supposedly did you wrong. Grow the fuck up. Ain't nobody done you wrong. Except Trump. Regulations aren't put in place to hurt you. They're put in place to not hurt others. Not just yourself. Get over yourselves. And that's coming from a fucking ranch hand. Throw the fuck up. Fucking pansy ass bitches.
China is now buying from Brazil and Argentina, and that's going to leave farmers with nobody to sell to. Now Trump says his tariffs on Canada and Mexico are to curb illegal immigration and fentanyl trafficking.
You know, I want to correct myself because the way I used the word pansy was not right. And not accurate either. Y'all a bunch of cowards. 100%. What you're scared of, what you're such a coward about, is talking to people and sharing your fucking feelings. Yeah, that makes you a fucking coward. You probably don't like that, and that's okay. But you need to come to it. You need to realize. The actions you've taken have been out of fear. That's how a coward acts. Not someone with honor, integrity, and morals. And then on top of that, you didn't even take the time to try to talk? You made assumptions like crazy and expected everyone to fucking think you were right, that you just knew everything? Check yourself and grow the fuck up. Because obviously, the person you voted for is a blatant example of just that. A 34 count felon an adjudicated sexual assaulter. A con man, liar, and a dictator. And you all thought she was doing something good. How? I mean, shit. Most of y'all that are still supporting Trump have listened to Trump as well as you listen to the Bible. Which is not much at all. You took bits and pieces you wanted and went with it. Denying facts is quite literally illogical. It is ignorant, arrogant, pathetic, and cowardly. For the biggest group of, oh, we're so big, bad, and tough, you sure cry like a bunch of little fucking babies. Shit, my son didn't cry as much as you guys do.
Again, lies, and half-truths. While that may be true for Mexico, it sure isn't true for Canada. The U.S. has only seized around 40 pounds of fentanyl in the last few years coming from Canada to the United States. Now, Trump proposed tariffs are going to cost the average U.S. household $2,600. And according to the Associated Press Forecast Survey, it's MAGA families that generally spend the highest percentage of their income on essentials and household goods. So ask yourself, can you afford an extra $200 in the name of patriotism? Because that's what the right will kill you and manipulate you into thinking that spending more on groceries and giving money to billionaires is somehow patriotic. Trump didn't drain the swamp. He flooded it with oligarchs and billionaires who are going to build a giant yacht off of our bounty and sail away to Mars while the rest of us drown. He isn't taxing billionaires to pay for everything. He's making sure that you foot the bill.
Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying.
He's not owning the libs. He's owning you. And now, while you're paying 25% more for groceries, he's sitting on a gold toilet sending out truths. Now, Democrats are reveling in MAGA's despair. As they chant, you effed around and now you're about to find out. Videos like this are flooding social media.
I have a request for all my TikTok friends. When you guys come across videos of Trump supporters crying that they no longer have food, housing, and health care benefits because the government shut that off, can you tag me in those videos? Because I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. Thanks in advance.
I know the Midas family, they don't know me very well. But I'm somebody that fought for his country, and I love my country very much. And right now we're going to see a lot of members of MAGA turn their back. And they're going to need somewhere to go. And I think it's in our country's best interest to give those people somewhere to go. And I know that's big. Trust me. I know. My own dad was a super MAGA student, so I understand what I'm asking. But Trump isn't just scamming his base. He's going to set fire to the entire country, possibly the world.
Yes.
And if we don't come together now, it's all going to burn. Now, if you're MAGA, well, you probably don't know me at all. But I actually used to be a conservative. And I got tired of conservatives manipulating me and taking advantage of my patriotism and my loyalty. Now, it was the conservatives that riled me all up and sent me to a foreign country to fight for oil and money. And now, they're doing the same to you. They are trying to manipulate you and say that it's patriotic.
And that's not something new. I was part of the group that got caught up because of Bush's bullshit. Got me all riled up, sir. Bush and 9/11. Yep.
To pay more money at the grocery store. It's patriotic to give your money to people that have way more money than you. It's the oligarchs and the king of the robber barons that want to pick your pocket. They want to pick the pocket of the average American already struggling to make ends meet. And they expect you to carry them on your broken back while they sit on their gilded thrones, untouched by our suffering, because they don't understand what it's like to be a poor kid from an Indian reservation who is struggling to make ends meet. They don't understand suffering. Now, my dad was an entrenched MAGA member, and even like and subscribe for more than 10 months.
Can't get enough Midas? Check out the Midas Plus Substack for ad-free articles, reports, and podcasts.
Alright, that is the end of the news segment for today. My hips. Probably a news stream. And I think I'm going to do that now. I really do hurt. mixed up. Yeah. I could move that down too. I'll look back in a moment.